Good evening. My name is Angel Simmons, and I am here with the fourth installment of the Be the Message podcast. Last time you all saw me, I was still Miss Midwest Revolutionary Purpose, and I am happily announcing that I am now the new Miss Revolutionary Purpose World. So, as of February, I took home the highest title for the Purpose Division. Mission and platform is still the same: be the message, suicide prevention, and mental wellness. So, you will see a little more about that in the next coming month or so. But purpose of this podcast, as always, is to shine light and to give a voice to causes and people that are making necessary and significant change today in their fields. Now, this month is Autoimmune Disease Awareness Month, and tonight I am shining the light on lupus. Some people don't even know what lupus is. And I found a very interesting statistic that 53% of Americans know little to nothing about lupus. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information and then I'm going to bring in our very special guest for this evening. All right. So lupus is an autoimmune condition causing the body's immune system to attack its own tissues and organs. Lupus causes swelling and irritation, also causes inflammation that may affect joints, skin, kidneys, blood cells, brain, heart, and lungs. A common sign of lupus is a facial rash that looks like butterfly wings across both cheeks. Lupus can also be hard to diagnose because its symptoms are like those of other illnesses. Um, Diagnoses usually range between age 15 and age 45. Uh, African American, Hispanic, Asian, and Native American women are 2 to 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with lupus. 1.5 million Americans live with lupus, 5 million people globally. Now, those are some pretty high numbers for 53% of Americans to know little to nothing about lupus. But I want to get into some of this backstory tonight. Now, you know, all of my friends are famous. So tonight's guest is no exception to that rule. Tonight's special guest is a lupus warrior. She is the owner of Purple Ribbon Chef. She is the author. Haha, we're going to talk about this book too. She is the author of Purple Tears. My goodness. A domestic violence journey. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. She is a motivational speaker. She is a domestic violence survivor. She is a professional model. She didn't mention that in her bio, but I know that. And she's a mother. She's been featured on Good Morning America, Fox 32 Chicago, iHeartRadio, Windy City Live, and more. And she has been thriving in her business for over 10 years. So please welcome to Be the Message, Miss Carlisa Thomas.
Hello.
Oh,
Thank you for that amazing introduction.
I could have went on. I could have went on.
No.
But I know you're gonna say a little bit to the people, so I wanted to leave some room for that. How are you doing tonight? Thank you for coming. I know you have a super busy schedule and are always on the move, on the go. So I appreciate your time coming out to be the message tonight, especially
Absolutely.
during this month.
Oh, baby.
Especially during
Absolutely.
this month.
Absolutely. Wouldn't rather be anywhere else.
Thank
Definitely
you.
here. Always down to talk about the cause and to talk about entrepreneurship whenever I can.
And we're gonna talk about all of that
All the
tonight.
things.
So tell the people, who is the Purple Ribbon Chef and what do you offer?
So, here at Purple River Chef, We are serving up delicious bites with a taste of advocacy for lupus and domestic violence. The business was birthed through my, I wouldn't say struggle, but surviving through both of those things. I created Purple Ribbon Chef 14 years ago when I was going through a divorce and kind of trying to see like what it was that I wanted to do with my life. I had just had my youngest, who will be 14 in May of this year. And I was working for a, popular company here in Chicago. And it seemed like once they knew that I had lupus, it was always something trying to get me out of the door. And coming back from having my son, I knew that I wanted to be more hands-on in his life. And so I was like, how can I do that? At that time, my daughter was about 4 or 5 years old. And I was always working, always moving. And a lot of my friends had been posting recently, like, oh, the dates that their kids took their first steps or said their first words and all these things. And I was like, okay, I remember those things, but I never thought about like, what was the date of it? What was the time of it? What was all of these things? And even when I didn't have to be at work so early where I could drop her off, I just remember rushing all the time. So Purple Ribbon Chef was kind of just birthed from that. I was like, okay, I know that I know how to cook. I know that I went to school for culinary arts. I know I went to school for business administration. I can run a business and I can cook and I can set my own schedule with having this new baby. Let's do something that ties in both of the causes that I'm so passionate about.
Wow. Did you feel discrimination at your workplace because of your illness?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something that I talk to people about all the time. Being a business owner, even before like I was running my business and having it structured properly, because those are all different things that you talk about when you talk about entrepreneurship and everything. I always got like I know we'll get to this later, like how long I've had lupus and all of the things, but I've had lupus since I was a kid. I always understood that when running a business, you want to look out for the best interest of your business. But there are laws in place so that people are not discriminated against. And I know for what I put into my business, I've put that into so many other companies because I've been working since, 11 years old. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna talk about that, but I've been working for real companies having a paycheck since I was 11 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pay stub.
Okay.
Investing into this.
It was a different generation. It was
You
a
know what I'm
different time. It was a different time.
It was a different time. But so I definitely get the fact that you want people that you can depend on and that can be there. But also when it's things that is beyond someone's control, it needs to be rules and guidelines put in place. And that's why the government put those things in place so people cannot be discriminated against when they have illnesses, disabilities, etc.
Supposedly.
Right. But they try to find a way to do it. But the thing was, and I was in my early 20s at the time, that like I said, for the first couple of years, because with the autoimmune disease, and you were just talking about, people may not know, we don't look sick. I know people are, you've been tagging me and people going to my stuff like, oh, she got lupus. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I have lupus.
Even some of your friends will to see it.
Exactly. So like people don't like, this is an invisible illness. Like most autoimmune diseases, it's invisible until it's not, until we're at a point where we're in a wheelchair, till we're at the point where like this past year I've done multiple blood transfusions. I've had to do iron transfusions, like being rushed into the hospital. And even at those times we still don't look sick. Like they have to do certain tests to be like, okay, something is really wrong with you, because especially when having an autoimmune disease for so long, we put on a brave face. We have to keep pushing. Like nothing is handed to us because we have an autoimmune disease, just like nothing is handed to most people who have any ailment or disability. We still have to work like everyone else. We still have to raise our children like everyone else. We still have to deal with the stresses of this world like everyone else. So, like, we just got to keep it moving and keep pushing.
Wow. Speaking of things moving, tell us about Kitchen Chicago.
Yes.
What,
So,
how did this come about?
God, like everything else with this company, because where Purple Ribbon Chef is now, I did not imagine this 14 years ago. I'm like, I'm gonna do some baby showers, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a brunch here and
Make
there,
some
make some money.
cakes.
Yeah, because I was making the cakes and the cookies, and I still do all of those things, along with all of this other stuff that God has blessed me with. But literally just my online presence, the owner of the building, who still runs a commercial kitchen out of the building, was like, I don't know anything about running an event space. You're a caterer, you have been doing amazing. I want you to take over this event space. And I was like, okay, great. Then I left out of there like, what?
What
Little
did
me,
I just say yes to?
little me. But I've been running the space since December. It's been an amazing learning experience. I'm starting to get different type of events in there. When coming over to the space, their mindset, the owner's mindset, was just like weddings. So my thing is kind of getting some of everything in there: bridal showers, weddings, showcases, performances,
Yoga.
plays,
I saw
runway
yoga.
shows. Yes, yes. So, like, I'm like, it's money to be made. It's a space.
Mhm.
Anything can be done here. And what I love about it is just a blank canvas. It's a blank canvas. You can kind of transform it to anything. So people have been booking up. I have stuff booked as early as next spring already. So we're booking
Wow.
a year out already. So it's amazing. It's a
And
blessing.
where's it located?
It's 324 North Levitt. So it's kind of the West Town area.
Set by Damon.
It is before Damon,
Mhm.
after Ashland, off
Okay.
of Grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Now,
Yes,
how
yes.
do you work at, you said you started Purple Ribbon Show 14 years ago. How do you work as a successful entrepreneur while living with a chronic illness?
What I've learned to do, which I was not doing this before, is just trying to pace myself. I've always worked into my contracts that I have lupus. Most people that hire me right out, they know that that's a part of my story. If you
Mhm.
go to my website, to anything, you see that that's a part of my story. But I always work that into my contracts, and because I could book out, I'm already booking for the end of the year now, holiday parties and different things like that.
Mhm.
And with autoimmune diseases, specifically lupus, like each day you don't know what's happening. So at the beginning of the game, I was really, really a one woman show. What I had to learn in entrepreneurship, which I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs have to do, is kind of relinquishing the rank and allowing others to come in, and trusting others to be able to see your vision and execute that vision. That was something that I had to learn along the way. It definitely started more so with close family and close friends. But as we've grown to this 14-year mark, I've been able to like look at resumes and actually hire strangers. And that was huge for me, because I'm like, this is my baby. And I take customer service very seriously. I take food and sanitation very seriously. So, like, me knowing most of the people who have worked for me for over 10 years, 10, 15 years at the time that this business was started, was something that was key for me. But I've definitely learned to take my time to rest, to allow other people to be able to execute what my vision is, and making sure that I can make a game plan of what my vision is. Because quick tidbit on that, and we can go to the next thing. Like, when my younger sister Natalie of Melanated in America came graduated college, and she came back and was like helping me put on events and things like that, I had to be there, like, to tell her every step of the way, okay, this is what I would, this was, this is this. And now I've like, okay, I could sit down, write the picture, make it plain, and then we can kind of go from there. So I don't have to be there at every step
Mhm.
for someone to be able to execute it. I was
Right.
not trusting anyone with my vision at first.
And it's
And
hard. This is your
yeah,
business, it's your baby, it's your vision. You know, you always have to be protective of that
yeah,
and make sure that it's somebody who will align with what it is you are trying to grow.
absolutely.
Oh, hey, Miss Miracle. Hey, hey, hey. That's Tashana.
Hello. Yes. Yeah,
That
putting
was a
that
good,
into
yes,
contract has been key.
yes.
Putting things into contract
Hmm.
as far as refunds and different things like that.
Yeah,
And even if something comes up with my sickness, with my
yeah,
staff, and having those things in place,
right.
I've found to be key. And I have not had to cancel on anyone due to my illness. I just literally probably a month ago had to cancel something due to like the venue requirements and different things like
Hmm.
that late. But literally, I can hit a refund button real quick on my payment processor if need be.
That's good. And having that team is so important because you can tell them, hey, you
Absolutely.
may not get me that day, but I got people that's gonna be there.
Yes,
I'm not gonna
absolutely.
be there dropping it off. Somebody else will be
Yep,
there. You got people.
absolutely.
That's good. Even having people on standby to be able to
Yes,
help you. That's
yes, absolutely.
amazing.
I have
And
quite a few independent contractors.
oh, absolutely. And shout out to Shauna Miss Miracle, another Lupus Warrior on here
Yes, absolutely,
joining
and
us.
amazing cook. She's the
And
chef.
I was about to
Yeah,
say, isn't she a
uh-huh,
caterer as well? Yeah,
uh-huh.
so you
She
work
said
that
don't
into
touch me in
your
the food.
contract.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Beautiful. Um, Now, what do you remember about being diagnosed? I know you said earlier you were a kid.
Yeah.
How young were you when you were first diagnosed?
So, as far as when I first started having symptoms, I was the summer before I started 8th grade. I started
Hmm.
getting swelling, and they had to keep pulling fluid off of my knee. And
Mm.
from there, it was just where I was so used to, because like I said, by that time I was already working corporate stuff, ticket taker. I was doing soldier field, stuff like that. So stuff where I have to be really active.
Yeah,
I was already
standing,
the same.
moving, walking.
Yeah, I was already the same height that still am now at this
Stop
time.
playing.
Yes. So like,
At eighth grade?
yeah, yeah, I was five
Wow.
nine and a half already. Yeah, so I haven't grown since 7th grade. I've been this height since 7th grade. So like it was like track and field, basketball. All of these people just wanted me, but I was like a girly girl. I had one pair of gym shoes, and
While you
those
was
were
working?
Skechers. Those were Skechers. I was the only black girl on the south side that wanted some doggone Skechers.
Oh, I
Like
love me some special.
everybody had
Good day.
Jordans, Air Ones. I'm like, I don't even want gym shoes. I would wear heels. And a part of that, it was because I was like, my feet were so big because they were the same size they are now, 11. So heels made your foot like go up.
Mm,
I was like,
mm-hmm,
okay. So I was a little
mm-hmm.
model, like girly girl, and like everybody wanted me for sports because I'm like towering over everybody at this age.
And you're
And so
like,
I
no.
just said, 8th grade, I'm gonna play everything and I'm gonna do everything. And that summer, when we
Mm,
were doing camp, like everything just started swelling on me. They started having to pull fluid. I started going to Lyra Beta. They
mm,
immediately looked into autoimmune. They diagnosed me with juvenile
interesting.
arthritis, but they looked into autoimmune sooner for me than a lot of other people because my mother had already been diagnosed.
Okay.
And we had a great doctor. That's how I met Tashana. Me and Tashana were at the Children's Hospital together. Dr. Wagner Weiner at Lyra Beta
Mm,
Children's Hospital. And she was just well versed in lupus. A lot of people were not because this was 1999.
mm,
And when going into the hospital and being diagnosed with juvenile arthritis, with my family history, even though they were saying that lupus was not hereditary at the time, she immediately started looking into autoimmune diseases and starting to test me for those things. Because what happens with lupus is not just a test. Like, oh, I could test you and you have flu ABC, or
mm-hmm.
I could test you and you have sickle cell. it's this whole list of things that they're like, okay, this many items on this list needs to be happening at the same
Mhm.
time, and then we can say that this is lupus.
Yeah.
So that's why we have so many people diagnosed with other autoimmune diseases and things like fibromyalgia and all of these
Mhm.
things, because they can't get an accurate diagnosis because it's nothing that is like a specific blood test or a specific this or that for
Mhm.
those things. So she had a heads up on mine. I was not actually officially diagnosed until my sophomore year, but I was under her care from my 8th grade year
Mhm.
until I was 20 years old once I had Journey.
Hmm. Wow. Now, I know lupus likes to bring along friends and
Mhm.
other conditions? Did you have any other
So
conditions that were
early on, one of the things that I had was pericarditis, which I still deal with, which is inflammation around the heart that feels like pressure in your chest, like when you're breathing, but it's
Mhm.
actually inflammation around your heart. And then my kidneys. So those have always been like two things with me. So my heart and my kidneys have always been affected by my lupus.
Mm. I remember when I first met this group of Lupus Warriors, people were comparing how many medications they took a day, and I think the highest number was maybe 25 pills that somebody was taking in one day. What's the most amount of medication you've had to take?
About 20.
Tw-
About 20.
20 different pills, and they're all for something else, you know.
All for something else. And that's the thing. Now there are, I believe, at least two medications that have been made specifically for lupus. I've
Mhm.
never been on either of them.
Mhm.
They've asked me if I want to try them and different things like that. But the story about me when it comes to medication, and I know like we're going to get into faith and stuff later. I always prize my mother with this. A lot of the medications that they were putting us on, like I said, we had great doctors. We had a great doctor that just was not pushing medication. She was giving stuff if we needed it, what was happening in our body at the time. Like my daughter was recently still under her care. My daughter ended up seeing her because she has a positive ANA. She was never diagnosed with lupus, but
Mhm.
she was diagnosed with positive ANA and had to see rheumatology since she was about 5, and she followed up with Dr. Wagner Weiner until about 2 years ago. Um,
Mhm.
but like to kind of go back to those medications, the side effects of any medication can be super dangerous, right? So although a lot of these medications could help us get out of a flare, is what we would call it, when that lupus is really really attacking our body. um I took charge of my health, and my mother allowed that, even with me being at a young age, and I really feel like that's where I flourished, and how I'm where I am today and able to do as much as I could do. Because if I stayed on a lot of those medications, how they prescribed them and wanted me to stay on them,
Yeah.
a lot of different things would have been broken down in my body before I was hitting on 3 days before 40
Mm.
right now. So I thank my mother for that. I thank God for that. I believe in medication. I believe in the power of medicine, but I take it when I need it and up until the time that I need it. And then I relinquish that. I taper off of those things until it's needed again. Because with the autoimmune disease, how we're saying like every day is different, every day is different. So why am I still taking a dosage of a medication from when my
Exactly.
body was in a full flare or just wasn't doing right when it was when I'm feeling absolutely fine? Now, I don't put that out there for people to do on their own. That's something that you talk to your doctor about. I never lied to my doctors. I told them what was up. When I
Mhm.
had a flare, they would go up on my prednisone or change different things around. And then they'd be like, okay, Carlisa, taper off. You know how to taper off. So speak to your healthcare professionals, speak to your God who you speak to, and what it is that you feel like is best for you. Because I decided that's what was best for me at an early age. In high school, my mother allowed me to make those decisions. So that's why I feel like I was able to accomplish all the things that I was able to accomplish, and including my two beautiful children and having them, you know.
Yeah. And that this Sharita say
Hey,
facts.
Frida.
Sharita say facts,
Period.
facts. Yes, and that plays right into this next question. Have you had adequate support from patient advocates, or have you had to become your own advocate while managing this condition? Sounds to me, based on what you just said, is you just took charge.
Oh, absolutely.
You didn't wait.
I've been my advocate and so many advocates for so many other people, even when it's not lupus. Like, I could be sitting in the hospital and seeing them playing somebody's face, and I'm like, tell them this, ask them that, and do this. And they could have something not related to autoimmune disease at all. But what I will say is, if I had bad doctors, they were getting off of my schedule immediately. But all the doctors that I've kept up with and I stuck with them, they know me. They know if I'm contacting them about something has to be up. A lot of these doctors, because we don't look sick, that's what this is, an invisible ailment. And statistics just for women in general, especially Black women, they don't take our pain serious. They don't take what we're saying seriously. They're just like, oh, take an aspirin, oh, take a Tylenol, oh, take an ibuprofen. They don't take us seriously. And a lot of times these blanket tests that they do for people that don't have ailments like us, where they have to dig deeper, those tests are going to come back fine, but you're not looking at the right things. Exactly. So being an advocate for yourself is super important, because they have to do what you tell them to do. If I tell you to do blood tests A, B, Z, D, and you're like, oh, we only need to do A, I said A, B, Z, D. Are you paying for it? Or is my insurance paying for it? And if my insurance isn't paying for it, you're going to bill me anyway. So I said, I'm taking blood tests A through Z, and you're not going to give me A through C. And you have to be firm on that. Not just, when it comes to autoimmune disease, when it comes to what we're seeing, the rates with women pregnancy and childbirth, and all of these different things. Just because someone has a degree in this, I've lived it.
Yeah.
I know my body. Can't nobody tell me anything about my body that I don't know. So when something feels off, when something is wrong, they typically end up finding what it is once they're pressed. And that's, ER doctors and stuff like that, because my doctors are going to take me seriously. And they're like, okay, I'm putting in the lab, I'm putting in this. And they're like, okay, we do see this, that, and the third.
But when you go to the emergency room,
this.
That's a different story. I'm going to add to that list, just even as a Black woman, fibroids.
Yeah.
Because I had to live with that. And, there were doctors who weren't educated. They didn't know what it was. I'm not in here looking for medication. I'm not faking being in pain. And by the time I had my first surgery, because there were two, by the time I had my first surgery, that fibroid was the size of a 5-month fetus.
Come on.
5-month fetus. That's how big.
That you carrying around in your body.
I was walking around with it, and they just telling me I'm overweight and need to lose some weight and need to do this and need to. No, I knew it was something wrong. I knew, and had to switch doctors 3 times until I got the answer. Until I got the answer that I needed, and then it was surgery. Get this thing out. And of course, they grow back. So now we got to go through this process again. The second one looked like Mickey Mouse head. But come on, we shouldn't have to fight to get help. But that is what was going on. Yeah, Sharita.
And especially after the opioid epidemic. Well, once it wasn't about our skin color having the opioid epidemic, because it's been going on for years. Yeah. But they was continuously pushing opioids on me. That was one of the things, because you're in pain. You're in pain. Let's give you this medicine, because they want to shut you up. They really wanted to shut everybody up. But then once it got to the suburbs and it got to their children, then it was, now if you're in pain, you're lying, and we're not even going to give you a Tylenol. Like, it went from one drastic end of the spectrum to the other.
You're right.
And
You're
it's
right.
still like that right now because of that opioid epidemic.
It
But I
is.
wouldn't allow them to give me pain meds because I said,
Absolutely.
I need to feel the pain and feel what's going on in order to help you do your job.
That part. Because the second time I ended up in the ER, and knew I was going to need surgery, it wasn't necessarily that I was in pain. It was where it was positioned. So based on what it was laying on was causing the pain. So no matter how much of what you want to give, it's
Give
not
me,
going to help me. I
come
need you
on,
to get it off of there.
come on.
We got to
And
turn
you
this
can't
thing.
tell them that if they're pumping you with morphine,
Exactly.
giving you Vicodin, giving you Percocet. They
Oh,
were like some of that medicine. I was like, this is too doggone strong. You want me to shut
yeah.
up because I'm
Oh yeah.
advocating for myself too much.
Oh yeah.
Don't
And I
ever give
started,
it to me
yeah, and
again.
I definitely weaned myself. Anything they gave me, I weaned myself off
Oh,
of.
absolutely.
I'm just gonna live with this, so I know what it is and move it around. And no,
I,
we're
I
not gonna be
only took it.
dependent.
I only took it if I absolutely needed it. And my pain tolerance is super high because of it.
Yeah. Now, yeah. After
My
those
pain,
experiences,
right. My pain tolerance is high. So that's why like my doctors know like if something is wrong with me and they can see it in my face, they know like something is drastically wrong because I could be walking around where people are somewhere crying and I'm like, okay, yeah, got to get through this. We got to make it happen. So if I'm saying I'm in pain, that means I'm in pain.
hmm, absolutely. Now you talked about challenges you face with it being an invisible illness and nobody knowing what it was. I remember this particular story on Talk About. And I don't know if it was a video. I don't remember if you were live. I just remember it was you and you're in
Mhm.
a parking lot and the officer was trying to give you a ticket because you were in handicap parking. Do you remember that story? Oh, I think she froze. Come back to us. Come back to us. Come back to us. I see this. I see another comment from Sharita. I'm gonna pop up here. Do either of you guys believe in doing anything holistically? Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, she froze. She coming back. She coming back. I was drinking teas. I was drinking herbs. I was doing hot compresses. I started going to Pilates and was trying to stretch it out and do all kinds of things physically that I could. I was using heat and movement for me. That's what I was using for my pain. I did not get to the point where I needed or felt like I needed to do anything additionally with that. That was enough to sustain me until the second time around when I needed to schedule surgery. And that time I didn't play. Um, the first time I delayed the surgery and I was hesitant because I wanted children. So I was a little hesitant about that. Hey, you back? Um,
Hey, I don't know what happened now.
right. I
Everything
was.
started doing the circles, and
That's
I was
okay.
like,
That's all right. I was answering the question from Sharita about do we believe in anything, doing anything holistically, and I told her that I was using heat and movement for me. So it was, I was drinking tea, I was drinking herbs, I was doing the compresses, water bottles, but I also started going to Pilates. I was learning how to stretch it out
mm-hmm.
and move because the second time around it was the position of the fibroid. So me using movement was more helpful for me than taking anything. So
Mm-hmm.
until it was time for surgery, and the first time I delayed surgery for years because I wanted children. I thought that's what was
Yeah,
going to happen, and you don't want to be drastic with the cutting because it was going because of how large it was. It had to be cut.
yeah,
And I said, I had never had a major surgery, so I was chicken, and that
yeah.
was that was keeping me from being well. Second time when they came back and I found out how big they were, schedule surgery.
Get it.
We're take it, take whatever you need to take, because we're not playing these games before you something else. And this surgery was 3 years ago. So
Okay.
this was August 23 when I had the
Okay.
second surgery. And I was a much better advocate for myself
Yeah.
then. I knew exactly what the situation was. I knew what my options were based on having had the first surgery. I knew which doctors, were going to be on my side. And as soon as they started talking wrong, next, we're not
Yeah.
gonna deal with that. So that was my situation. But what about you? Was there anything that you were able to do holistically um,
So
for your
I
being?
was really big on natural supplements. Early on, I started with a lot of everything that was happening within my body, and still now, when I go in and we find like something is wrong, it's inflammation, whether that be around my heart,
Mhm.
or different places within my body. So doing eating foods and putting into my diet and supplements that attack inflammation was really big. So turmeric, sea moss, sour
Mhm.
stops before it became a thing with COVID. Like
Right.
everybody is kind of getting on all of these things now, but those were things that I was doing. Garlic, all of
Hmm.
these things early on, and things like higher in iron, because my blood levels have always been really low. What
Hmm.
was like a scare for me, where a lot of people may have like thicker blood, my blood was already really thin. And when I would have a flare, it would become so thin, like Dr. Weiner would like have to have me come in for prednisone immediately. She's like, you got to get in here. If you get a paper cut, you could probably bleed to death.
Mm.
I would have to go in and do IV of prednisone, high range, and all of those different things. So, like I said, to counteract that, I would look into what supplements and what foods could help me, beets and all of
Mhm.
these different things to kind of help with my blood, help with my kidneys, help with my heart health. Those
Okay.
were different things that I would do. And as far as pain management, um, I always like heat, Epsom salt baths, um,
Baths. Oh, I
all of
left that out. Yeah.
yeah.
Staying in the
Oh my God.
tub.
Love me a
My
detox
goodness.
bath. You hear
My
me?
goodness. Okay. So before you disappeared,
Right.
you were talking about that incident with the
Oh yeah.
officer.
Yeah.
Tell us about that incident.
So I've had, like, I literally just left the DMV earlier today because it's time to renew my placard, my handicap placard. I've had my placard since I was maybe 18, 19 years old. And I've only had two incidents where I've been approached to be asked about it. I've had a lot of stares from cops and stuff like that, but only two incidents where, and they've both been in suburbs of Chicago. One was like the Ford City area,
Mm-hmm.
but they check my ID, your month matches to the date on your thing. So they were like, "Oh, we're sorry about that," you know. But at that time, I was really young. Like, I think I had just had Journey. So I was like, okay. But then this incident that you're talking about that I put online
Mm-hmm.
was at the Walmart 95th and Western.
Evergreen Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the parking space, about to get out the car, and this guy, he pulls up behind me writing the ticket. I'm like, what are you writing the ticket for? And he's like, you're in handicap. I'm like, I know, and the placard is right there. And he's like, but you're not handicapped. And I'm like, how are you going to tell me what? Like, check the thing. You haven't asked for my ID because your birth date matches the numbers that they have punched on your placard. I said, you haven't checked the ID. You haven't done anything. You're just writing a ticket. He continues to write the ticket. I recorded him. That's what I have on Facebook. That is
Mm-hmm.
up now. I went to fight it. When I tell you I was in there 5 hours and still hadn't been seen on the date that they tell you to come in for your ticket, like to go before the judge over in
Mm-hmm.
the area, I walked out of there, went up to the thing and paid it. I said that's their little scheme and scam. Like, because
Wow.
I don't have all day to give you for $50. You could take the $50. But I did go to the courthouse to fight the ticket with all of my evidence. I'm sure it would have been thrown out, but they don't even want to get you in front of a judge for anything to be thrown out. And when I tell you I have not shopped, and I used to shop in that area faithfully,
Mm.
that area and Ford City. When I'm talking about Fridays, we getting paid and we had to shop for the house, those were the stores that we were going to. Have not
Mm.
purchased a French fry from those areas. Because when I say I don't play about where I spend my money, I don't play about where I spend my money
Wow.
and the disrespect. So I have
Right.
not shopped in those areas since those incidents.
And I remember the video, and I reposted, shared it. I remember
Mhm,
talking to people about it, just thinking
mhm,
about how many other people I knew who
mhm,
had um, some other kind of chronic illness that you
mhm,
could not see. I know so many people with lupus, so many people with epilepsy, so many
mhm,
people fibromyalgia,
mhm,
psoriasis. I mean, just naming
mhm.
all these things that cause these flare ups, that causes swelling, that have legit placards,
Yeah.
and just thinking about somebody trying to write a ticket, or somebody telling you you don't need to get
Without
no
you even doing your job,
no
because what you're
investigation.
supposed to do is like what those first cops did. They, oh, can I see your license? Because you were in the handicap. Who placard is it? It's mine.
Right.
Okay, can I see your license? See my license? We are so sorry. Have a great day. That's
And
your
that's
job.
it. That's what they're supposed to
That's
do.
your job. But to
And there were no
immediately
questions
approach
asked.
someone, start writing a ticket because you just feel like, oh, this cannot be theirs. And then when they're calling you out on it, not following through to make sure that you do your job,
Hmm.
absolutely ridiculous.
Right. Tashana said, enough said, 95th.
Exactly.
Listen, my very first ticket when I got my first car was right over there by the Sam's. So
That's where I was at
I
the
had a
Walmart by the
connection.
Sam's.
I had a connection to that. But my doctors are all at Little Company of Mary. And
Oh,
I loved my doctors. So there's that. But
I
we
still
don't
got to
shop
take my
over
mom
there.
over there because she little company of Mary.
Yeah,
When
we
when
don't
I
shop
go,
unless we have
I'll
to.
be dreading
I
driving through there. I'm not stopping for nothing.
I go out my way shopping somewhere else. But if I gotta go to the doctor, I'm over there. And then my Pilates is right there by the hospital. Okay, so we were talking about navigating healthcare, in the healthcare system. Do you think it's gotten any easier over the last few years? Is it just as big of a struggle as it was when you were first diagnosed and having to speak out for yourself, or is it easier now?
I don't think that is a change within the healthcare system per se. I just think with age and being an advocate for myself, I have found the good doctors. Um
Okay.
because it's someone that's out here that probably can't advocate for themselves, that's dealing with a doctor that's not listening to them, and
Hmm.
then it's causing them to have additional surgeries that they could have probably prevented, and all of the things. It Healthcare is healthcare, and we're seeing it like
Hmm.
everything that's been in the news when it comes to minority women and childbirth,
Hmm.
when it comes to women and their pain being taken seriously, period. It's not getting any better. But what I can say with having younger doctors, they've lived through an age where they saw what was wrong, a lot of them, and they want to make change. Like they're
Hmm.
getting into the profession because they want to see change and different stuff.
Oh
Because
yeah.
my doctors that stuck with, they were student doctors when I was seeing big older doctors, but then they decided to stay at the hospital, and I'm like, okay, you
Oh
my
yeah.
doctor now, type of a thing. And now I've had them for 8 years. But
Hmm.
I first was introduced to them when they were interns coming in, residents,
Yeah.
coming in, and education as far as being out here, not just in a book for them, but them seeing family go through ailments, and with so many people dying of cancer, and the autoimmune diseases and stuff like addiction and all of these different things.
Yeah.
A lot of these people that are going to school to be doctors and nurses are experiencing that in their everyday lives. So I think it holds more weight for them to
Yeah.
be. It's not about money. I feel
Oh,
like old school doctors, a lot of them, it was about money.
because that was the profession, doctor
That was
or
the profession.
lawyer.
You go to make money. And what we were seeing was a lot of the nurses knew more than the doctors. And I still
Absolutely.
definitely think that's a thing. That's definitely a thing. I love nurses.
Mhm.
Nurses make the world go round. Most of
Definitely.
them do a great job. Now we still have some, that don't and they miss the mark. But that's in every profession. You're gonna have people
Mhm.
that slip through the cracks that just had the money to pay for it and they knew how to pass. So
Real talk. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would definitely agree with that. My last surgeon was much younger than me. And I was side eyeing her the whole time. But she was on top of
own,
she was
own,
on top of
own up in.
everything.
Yep.
And she knew enough. She knew enough to get me through what I needed to get
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
I love that. Speaking of being an advocate, I want to talk about this
Yeah.
book. Do y'all see this? Do you see this face? My God. First of all, the
Thank you.
face don't
Back
age.
in the model days. Back in the
First of
model
all,
days.
the back. I just saw you. First of all, the
Child,
face don't age. Let's start with that. Let's start with
come
that.
on.
Oh
40
my
in
God.
3 days.
Man, and I'm gonna be at the party.
Yes, yes.
My first question, were you living through domestic violence and living with lupus at the same time? Talk about
Absolutely.
talk about that combination of struggle,
Absolutely.
dealing with your
So
illness and dealing
one
with
thing
abuse.
that I kind of talk about in the book and when I talk about when I just speak in general is like life doesn't give you a pass just because you have lupus or because you've been through anything,
Mm,
really. Like it's still other things in life that you're going to have to deal with. Like we talked about earlier, I've had lupus since the year 2000, so
mhm.
26 years, you
Right.
know, and that's when it presented itself. It may have been here longer and we just didn't know because I
Mhm.
wasn't as active and doing as many things as I started to do at that time, which presented it when it presented itself was in the year 2000. um, but I didn't get married until, college. You know what I'm saying? And then living through domestic violence for the years that I lived through that was while dealing with lupus, active lupus, because my lupus was like really going crazy at that time. But it was like life didn't care. Like it was still like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, you're out here, you're dating, you know, those are things that can arise and we have to be able to navigate new things that come about in our lives as they come around, and those things became part of my story. And when starting to advocate for those, I was like, okay, both of these ribbons are purple. Like what are the doggone odds of that? The awareness ribbon
Mhm.
being purple,
Yeah.
you know so that became a part of my story.
Mm. How has your experience living through both of those as a survivor for both of those affected your mental health and wellness?
What I So at the beginning, what I think it did was it pushed me to learn more about mental health. So I also went to school for psychology. Um, and it was a huge part because of what it was that had to endure mentally going through these different things and what I was juggling and how I wanted to understand how I was so strong because I was really strong. Like I
Mhm.
don't feel like it's been until recent years where I actually allow myself to feel emotion, you know, and I don't stay in those emotions, but I feel like it's really important. And after going to school for this and all that, to be able to feel the emotion and not put up a wall and just continuously block these emotions, because that's when stuff is like building,
Yeah.
so and at that time when both of these things were happening to me, because as I said, I got sick in 2000. I met my ex-husband in 2004. um Journey was born 2006. Um, we were married until, I don't know. Don't give me the line. I know
Mhm.
March 13th we got divorced, but it was my 27th birthday year, because that next week I turned 27th, and that was my golden birthday because my birthday is on the 27th. So it was all done by the age of 27. And I was out of that, but like a huge part of that was what I hung on mentally was being there for Journey. I always felt as if my lifespan would not be long. And that was how I lived my life. And I kind of still do live my life like that. Sometimes when people know that it's a chance for you to not be here, everybody should know that, because as well as we live, we're all going to die. But when something comes in your life and they're like, one day it could just attack this and then you're gone. And I've actually seen that by people that we grew up around having these ailments, and one day they were here and the next day they're gone. And us being so blessed to get to the ages that we are now, all of, the loopy crew, it I lived my life like, I could wake up and not wake up tomorrow, type of a thing. So it was always really important for me to show Journey something different, until it became Journey and Cedric, because I was divorced. CJ, and so in March, so CJ hadn't even made a year yet. He would have made a year in May of the year that we got divorced. He would have made a year. So he wasn't even a year yet when we officially was divorced.
Mhm. And what have you taught them as a mother? What have you taught them about survival and resilience?
I feel that first what I have taught them is to walk in their truth, right? Um, be honest with yourself and who you are and what it is that you want, and be open for change. You know, I've never hidden from them what it is that I go through. They know that I'm an advocate for all cause, even domestic violence, even with the fact that, a lot of times people will hide this because it's like, okay, you still have this other parent that you would have to look up to or to be
Mhm.
around. Because, like, you're with this person, even after you go through a divorce and everything is said and done at the end of the day. So being honest with them about everything. Cedric, was little, but Journey was a little older. And as she got older, and having both of them in counseling and family counseling with us, we've even done group sessions even after being divorced for our children to make sure they are getting what it is that they need. I'm a huge advocate for mental health services. It was not something that was big within the African American community.
Yeah.
I feel like over the last 8 to 10 years, it has grown, especially in the day and age of social media. We're seeing podcasts. We're seeing so many more people talk about mental health. We have a lot of more mental health services within our communities for our children, for our men, and for ourselves. A huge thing for me, and that's why I was sitting on the board of the nonprofit that I sat on. That men get the mental health that they need, because I I feel like we have dealt with a lot within the African American community, from things stemming from way back at that Willie Lynch letter, when
Mm.
it goes back to how they wanted to break up the African family, and how they said that if you do these things, this will last for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. We have not even been out of slavery as long as slavery was in existence right
Mhm.
now today. Like, we still have family members that was alive that just came out of that. Like, we're just
Mhm.
seeing people from the
Yeah.
civil rights movement just now passing away, that
Yep.
was marching for our rights,
And work on plantations and
Exactly.
work sharecropping.
Picking,
Yeah.
still picking cotton
Mhm.
and everything. So we have not been out of it as long as that we were in it. It's no excuse, because all of us are able to educate ourselves. And once we know better, we should do better. And what I'm seeing now is a shift within that. We still have podcast era with the podcast bros and stuff that's flying over a lot of our heads out here. But for the most part, I feel like we're trying to get it together as a community of people and break those chains of bondage that were put on us, that were men don't need women, women men can women don't need men can hit a woman if she's doing something that he doesn't like for her to do, and all of these other things that was just thrown in this pot of mess that we were served and was supposed to eat and continue on through life. Mental health plays a big role in that, and breaking those generational curses that have come even from slavery.
Yeah. That's good. You preaching. What role does your faith play in empowering you to move forward and do all these things?
The hugest. I feel like especially when you're tired and you allow yourself to be drained and your minds get tired, that's when the enemy attacks. And you have to know how to advocate for yourself, because it's not always going to be somebody that you can call on, you know. And with learning to pray, like my pastor is Pastor John Hanna, and he is huge on prayer. And I definitely consider myself a prayer warrior. Like I be praying to the point sometimes I have stopped myself from praying because it scared me how God moved when I open my mouth and when I summon down heaven, right? Like it has definitely scared me sometimes. But the fact of the matter is, like, absolutely surround yourself around great people that's gonna, like myself, like I sit and one of my friends, one of my associates, a business, something pops in my head, I'm gonna go to war for it right there. I don't know what's happening. I just know that I was called to pray on that thing. So it's great to have those things around, but it's great to know him for yourself. What it is that you brought me through. I had to live through every experience that I went through. And I looked death in the face plenty of times. And I know that it was nobody but God who saw me through that. And in those moments, for the most part, once I was old enough to regulate, because I've been trying to get taken out of here from a baby. My mom has stories. So I know that I was destined for greatness. Like a baby ain't getting attacked over and over for anything. But my grandmother was heavy in faith. I grew up in church. But I had to learn God for myself. I had to learn how to move things for myself. And that's what I feel like is super important for anybody, because people can ask people to pray for them all day and night. But it's when you're touching and agreeing with someone praying for you and you have to want it. Because we can pray for somebody till we blue in the face. But always a part of my prayer, even praying for people, is that not only God's will be done, but if this is what they want to happen, that he gets them to a point where they can want that for themselves. Because sometimes people praying for people to get better and they're ready to go.
Say that louder. Yeah.
You know, so
yeah,
you're
in
their prayer. They probably praying to God, take me on home because I done saw what I need to see and I'm ready to transition. And you over here fighting in the spirit against them from what it is that they want. So sometimes it's just your will be done. But if that ain't what it's supposed to be, I need to touch and agree with that person on what it is that they want. And sometimes you just got to ask people, what is it that you want?
Exactly. First question. Sharita say you have to have your own personal relationship.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Have to. Must. Absolutely. No question.
That's the only reason we all still here. I promise you that.
That's it. That's all. I want to read something. It's yours. I want to read something. The way you end this journey here, and I just got like 2 questions, and we're gonna wrap this up. It says, through my purple tears, I had the strength to find myself again. I look back on my past in order to get clarity on my future. I forgave and I dealt with my issues that wanted to keep me trapped as a victim when all along I was victorious. I sought the help needed to not allow alcohol, panic disorder, or PTSD control my life. Every day I will grow more. This story is nowhere near over. This is just the beginning. These are my purple tears that I share with you in hopes that it will bless someone, save someone, encourage someone. Maybe, just maybe, I can save a life.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think it's no maybe, no maybe about this story, this interview, your journey, and the work that you have contributed to the world. What words of wisdom do you have for people living with chronic illness, living with autoimmune disorders, diseases? Anything about where you get your strength from? What do you want to leave the audience with?
So I feel like a huge part we touched on right here at the end is your faith, whatever that looks like for you. Like your God does not have to be my God. Long as you are pulling your strength and your faith from somewhere. I definitely feel like my original strength comes from my mother. Ernestine battles her the feistiness in that little body and how she
Advice.
raised 4 children and communities of kids because everybody knew where
Mm,
they could come for a plate, a safe space,
mm,
and just love. So it originally came from her. So much so that like sometimes when I was letting certain people back into my life and she wouldn't say anything, she definitely let you learn for yourself. But when I found it was like, yeah, I'm done. She was like, well, I was wondering when you're gonna be done. And I was like, I was doing a what would Ernestine do moment, like the what would Jesus do. I'm like, I'm thinking, she said, oh no, baby, no, that wasn't what a Ernestine would do, because I cut him off. I would have been cut him off, you know. And, but the strength and the love that she gives others, that's how I was moving. And so much to the point that some people would take advantage of that.
mm.
And I had to learn how to relinquish some people from my life. Like I can love you, I can pray for you, but you
From
can't
over
be
here.
in my life anymore. And that's okay. You know?
Mhm.
And that's okay. Like just because I say I forgive you doesn't mean that you're my best friend again, or even that close family member again. Like we can coexist in a world where we don't have to hang out and do all of the things together, because you've shown me multiple times that you didn't deserve me. And that whether that be in business, relationship, family, friends, whatever that category looks like, you have to be strong enough to choose you at the
Mm.
end of the day. So faith, choosing yourself, and just having even if it's just a small circle of people that you know have faith, even if it ain't the same faith, to be able to come together and pull down what is needed to get through
That's right.
this crazy day-to-day life, because we all know.
We need we need people that can call heaven
You hear me?
and then answer.
And they answer. The
They know
phone
your number. You ain't blocked.
the phone picks up every time.
Them the people we need. That's
Yes.
powerful. Sharita said that's powerful, sis. She said, don't make me cry. Y'all know I'm the sensitive friend. Oh my goodness. And
We all sensitive, for real.
listen, Mr. Shauna, she said, huge props to you, Carlisa. Great woman all around. Keep fighting and surviving. May the Lord keep his
Thank
grace and
you. I
mercy.
love you. That's one of my first loopy sisters.
She
One of my
told us,
first ones.
she bid us adieu. She said good night.
Good night. She said, y'all saying 9 o'clock now.
I know. It's be all right. Be all right. Any upcoming events that you want to
So
share
yes,
for
so
Purple River
we
Chef
have,
or for Kitchen Chicago?
yes. So for, I know you guys probably remember I started Lupus ages ago. That was my first small groups organization where people would call on me with lupus, and I would connect them with Betty's organization and all of the things, we are going to have a Lupus Awareness Month. I know this is Autoimmune Disease Month, but Lupus Awareness Month is in May. And on the 9th, it's going to be a dinner series that S2 Detail Events is putting on, one of her first. She did one. This will be her second one, where she does a curated dinner. It features a chef, and then part of the proceed goes to nonprofits and small grassroots organization. We've been in each other's lives. She was one of my vendors when I was doing the vendor events, when I was doing events every month, and the entrepreneur events in Bronzeville at the Southside Community Arts Center when I was over the catering there. And we're going to do it at the new event space. We're going to honor lupus survivors. We're going to give back to lupus, and none other than Purple Ribbon Chef will be the chef of the evening.
Who else?
We're going to curate a nice menu for everyone. I think it's going to probably be about 100 people. 100 to 125 people. That's going to be on Saturday the 9th. That is the day before Mother's Day. So I think that's a good treat for people to bring their mothers out to. I have been reposting what she has been sharing on my pages. I will be posting personal links and everything up after I get through this weekend. As we talked about, my 40th is this upcoming Friday, but my party at the event space is this Saturday. So I've been putting a lot into that because I don't do huge parties. I do a brunch, 5-6 people. So this is about to be huge. I wanted to do something big to not only honor all the hard work and everything that I've put in over the past 40 years of my life, because I like to tell my mother, I popped out running stuff, you know what I'm saying? And being the boss that I am today, but also just thank God for the life that I didn't think I was going to see, because being diagnosed so young and seeing so many people leave here, I didn't think that I would see 40, and I still got 3 days. So if the Lord say yes, if the Lord say yes, I will see it, and I want to celebrate that. So yes,
and I will be there celebrating with you.
Yes, everybody's invited. Invitations on all my social medias. Come out and have.
And this is the red bottom.
The red bottom. And I was telling Sherry. I was like, because people always expect me to be in purple because I'm a Purple Rib Chef, and I'm always in doggone purple. So I'm like, I gotta do something now for the 40. Because people expect it to be purpled out and ribbons everywhere. No,
I love this.
We're gonna do the bottom, the black, red, and white dinner and after party. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna eat good, and we're gonna have a good time.
I love that. Well, I'm excited, and I celebrate you. Thank you for
well. We're gonna support each other.
Thank you.
So we can't no more.
You got that right, because after your party, I'll be sending my orders in for
yes,
whatever else is coming up. And I'm not just throwing her name out there. I have eaten, I have tasted, and seen the goodness.
This is a client. We spend money.
We need cakes, we need cookies, we need chicken salad. We need that chicken salad,
baby.
Got crack in it. I don't know what's that. But
they better come try to check the kitchen now. She got crack in the chicken salad.
Right. And I'm gonna thank you publicly. Because when my sister passed last year, this time we were preparing for she was in and out of the hospital. We didn't know what was gonna come of that. And when we lost her last year, right before Easter, right around Easter, Purple Ribbon Chef took care of my family. Okay, everybody ate good and ate well. Some more than others. Everybody. Some more than others. Everybody ate good and ate well. and we saw nothing left over.
Nothing.
It was a
Not a
bag of
crumb.
bread that I handed over. Like nothing went home with me. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you publicly for that. So all these other
Absolutely.
events that are absolutely fabulous that she does, she will also take care of your family
Absolutely.
at a repast if that
Absolutely.
needs to happen. So thank you. And
Thank you for
you've
having
been
me.
family for a while. Mama say, call that girl and get that salad. So
Tell her the salad is coming up. Let me
she
get
know.
40 first, because the 40
Right.
salad might even taste better.
I told her, I
The
said,
40 salad go.
I asked her already. Wait till after her party. And then my birthday, I got to get a cake. You know, her birthday,
already know.
she might need a cake. We
You
gonna
already
work
know.
it out. So,
You already know.
but thank you for your time.
Thank you for
And
having me.
we are going to say good night to these people.
Good
And
night. Thank
until
everybody for
next
joining
time,
us.
thank you for joining us and love you all.